How are we going to start this one?
Well, we're actually recording now.
That's how we're going to start it then.
So, Iceland.
So, Iceland, Scott. What do you know about Iceland?
Well, I know about the only enemy they have in the world, or have had in the world in the past century, has been us, the British, which is brilliant. Same thing
Classic.
we said last time with Hong Kong.
Classic.
Britain's going to come up a lot in a not good way. I've also seen about the first environmentalist of Hong Kong. Have you seen about this?
No?
There was there's a giant waterfall. I don't know what the name of it off the top of my head is, but in Hong Kong, in Iceland.
I thought you was actually referring to Hong Kong, so I was just there like,
No, there's
maybe
this,
he's got some
wait,
follow-up.
did I say the first environmentalist of Hong Kong?
Yeah.
No, of Iceland. I meant of Iceland. That's going to be annoying. But yeah, the first environmentalist of Iceland. There's a giant waterfall, and the government wanted to turn it into a hydroelectrical power plant. Do you know about this?
Yes.
Yes.
It's a huge tourist destination. It's like absolutely beautiful. Loads of people go there every year.
They said they changed their mind because there was a girl who threatened to throw herself into the top of it if they did it. A sort of like a protest type thing. And they didn't do it. And she was renowned as being the first environmentalist of Iceland.
Yeah, I mean, is she the first environmentalist? The country runs on 100% renewable energy.
Yeah, and this was the thing is this was like, I think about a century ago. Like, she was the first one that was like, went all in on it.
Oh, right.
Like, she started the Iceland being an incredibly green place to live. Her name was Sigrigur Thomasdottir, which is absolutely not how it's pronounced, but she was alive from 1874 to 1957. And she was the one that kicked off Iceland being a very environmentally friendly country because she was so... she did that, which was like got loads of publicity, I imagine, but yeah, it was good.
Yeah, which is started off the whole thing with it being 100% renewable energy, I'm guessing.
But the thing which I don't get is that she started that by stopping a renewable energy source from being created.
Yeah, which is why I was a bit confused when you said it.
But it was a hydro... I remember reading it. It was a hydro dam type thing. Yeah. I think it's because they were going to build a giant construction project over nature.
Yeah, it's to preserve the natural beauty of the landscape.
I think that was her sort of issue with it.
But no, yeah, they'd use geothermal heat combined with hydroelectric, so the dams and that, to contribute to their overall energy output.
To be fair, that makes sense though, because they're literally... Isn't the entire island just based on one volcano?
No, it's more than one volcano. It's a very volcanic island, and there's tons of hot springs there. So they use a lot of geothermal heat.
Because it's where the tectonic plates between two places meet, so you can sort of walk between them and everything.
Yeah, the Eurasian and the North American plates, they meet in Iceland. So yeah, you can actually walk from one continent to the other, technically. There's like a little bridge between them. But yeah, it looks like a huge crack in the ground, I guess, like cavern. Yeah. Like a fissure. But yeah, most of it is sort of hot springs everywhere and stuff like that, which are very popular in Iceland. You can just sort of find them as you're walking around anywhere, pretty much.
It seems kind of dangerous, though.
What?
Well, if you just walking along and you fall into a hot spring and they're super hot, so
you don't fall into them. You can.
I don't know.
See them.
You run across them they're like a puddle, like a really boiling hot puddle.
A really boiling hot puddle. Well, I guess they are kind of that. They're not super hot that you're gonna burn yourself. People get in them, don't they?
Are they all like that? Because they shoot steam out of the...
That's geysers. Those are geysers. So it's slightly different.
Oh, I see.
These are almost like pools of warm water that you can sit in.
Yeah.
Which is a very popular thing to do there. Lots of people do it.
Is that what you want to do, Rob?
What?
You want to go to Iceland and sit in the hot springs?
Yes, I do. Have you seen the Blue Lagoon they have?
No.
You need to look that up. You need to see pictures of that. It
right
looks
now. Okay.
Absolutely amazing.
I think I've heard something about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like this giant outdoor like pool almost, but it's like obviously heated via like the hot springs, and it's like crystal like clear blue water,
Nice.
and it's like it's you what we like you'll go there and just sort of chill, socialize, hang out. It's a pretty
Yeah.
common thing to do.
I'm actually seeing this. This looks awesome.
It looks amazing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's what I'm like. Yeah, I would definitely like to use that. It does have some certain like health benefits as well. It's good for your skin and
See,
stuff
that's
like
where
that.
I think. I swear I've heard this from somewhere. I'm sure I've seen like a video about it. I can't remember the context.
But yeah, another thing they use the heat for, Scott, is to make bread.
To make bread,
Yes.
can they not use it? Oh, do they steam it then?
Have you seen this?
No, not at all.
They make
I don't
like a
think about it.
traditional like rye wheat dough, and then this fella he goes out onto the beach, sort of feels about how hot it is, digs a little hole, pops the pot of bread underneath it, buries it, comes back about 24 hours later, he's cooked a whole loaf of bread.
With no energy for free.
Yeah.
See, that's the crazy thing about Iceland is that they've got this like ridiculous amount of energy that's just part of their. They're very good for natural resources. Like they've got the volcanic stuff underneath where they get like loads of heat from that would just be dissipated into the environment any other way. So it's like actually good to use it. And they've also got like the huge fishing trade and everything around it in the waters. It just seems like they've got a massive sort of that they can use their environment quite well.
Yeah, that's what they kind of do there.
Like living off the land.
Yeah, that kind of thing. They are like an island nation, aren't they? That's kind of like a bit more out the way and isolated from the world, and like
A little bit. They're surrounded by
north.
like 500 miles of nautical miles of sea.
Yeah,
A little bit out
in
of
the
the way.
northern Atlantic. So yeah,
Yeah.
pretty.
Uninhabitable above them.
I don't know. So they kind of have to like use their own sort of resources and that. But yeah, it's the bread itself is called Hooverbrod. I think that's how you pronounce it.
See, this is going to be the worst thing because every time I've seen an Icelandic person pronounce anything, there's sounds which I've never heard before in that pronunciation.
Yeah, they make quite guttural sounds and stuff. But I think it's called Hooverbrod. I don't
But
know.
it's apparently their language is the closest to the ancient, sort of the first Nordic languages where,
The ancient Norse, yeah.
yeah, which is like some of the oldest little writings that we have are from them because they've just kept their culture alive and kept on passing it down and down and down.
Yeah, well,
It's crazy.
they do say that like with some practice, like Icelandic people can read like the Old Norse
Yeah.
and kind of like understand it, sort of stuff from like the Prose Edda and stuff like that, or the Poetic Edda.
Yeah, but it's that type of thing of like they've managed to keep these records alive since like the 1300s,
Yeah,
which is just insane.
well, I mean, we have like records from Julius Caesar and stuff. Like
Yeah, but
people
it's
that have
just, like,
written down
of,
like
like-
2,000 years ago. Like the Bible is pretty old. It's a bit older than like the 1300s.
The Bible is pretty old. Fuck you.
It's true though, and we still got that.
I remember seeing a thing though. It was like the first written words that were put down. They like have caveman people or anything that were writing stuff down. Like
Wait, what? I don't even know
prehistoric.
what you asked me there. Who was caveman people writing stuff down?
Yeah, like because that's what. Matt, I'm just going something else. I don't know.
Some of the older texts we have are the Vedic scripts, which are like sort of ancient sort of Hindu scripts written in like the form of Sanskrit.
This is all getting cut. I look like an idiot. It's going out. It's leaving.
But yeah, it is some of the only texts we have about the Viking sagas, as the Vikings didn't really write much down, and those tend to be written by people that came after.
Yeah.
So those were written in the 1300s, like those scripts, but the Viking age ended by like the mid 11th century. So there was like a few hundred years removed from it, so they're not entirely accurate, and they're not quite the same as it would have been.
So I was thinking of the writing in the 14th century. That's the oldest text about the Vikings and about that history.
Yeah.
So between the 11th century and then, it's just sort of word of mouth and travelling around. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember these things were typically written down by Christians, who
Right.
were the only people that really wrote much stuff down at that time, like Christian monks, who then would have like recorded them and possibly would have not liked the Vikings too much, considering they're the ones that got raided. So a lot of the stories
Yeah.
tend to be written down and mythologized a bit more than it actually would have been at the time. But,
Do you know how the first settlers went to Iceland?
well, wasn't it the bloke that got kicked out of Norway for murdering someone?
Yep, so there's that one. It was discovered 3 times.
Yeah.
The
So they hit the Faroe Islands first, didn't they?
Yeah, well, they hit. There was one guy that was just sort of going around, and someone else went across, and they put 2 planks of wood in the water, and just let it float, and decided that wherever they ended up on shore is where they would make their home, and that's where the actual city is.
What, of Reykjavik?
Yeah, that's where the planks went all around and sort of landed there. That's where they decided, because it was leaving it up to God to decide where
Yeah.
the actual city was. I think that was the 3rd person. The first person was the murderer.
Yeah, I just can't remember his name, but he's just the bloke that got done for murder and got
Well,
kicked out.
actually, I think he was the 3rd one, because then his son was also banished from Iceland for being a murderer.
For murdering again, yes, which then
And
he went
found
to
Greenland.
And then
So-
was that Eric the Red, I'm pretty sure. And then Leif Erikson was his son, who then actually found Canada. Which is where the whole thing about the Vikings discovered the continent of America before Christopher Columbus.
Yeah. All right, Rob, hit us with a quick fact.
Iceland is the northernmost producer of bananas in the world.
How do they grow there? Surely it's too cold.
Right, because of Iceland's geography, it's like very like mountainous, and there's a lot of glaciers and stuff. So only like about roughly 1% of the land is like arable for like farming. So the way they get around that, obviously they do import, but they use a lot of greenhouses,
Right.
and they have a lot of greenhouses which are obviously geothermal powered to make like fruit and veg in that, and they can even grow bananas there, making them the northernmost country that produces bananas in the world.
See, I feel like Iceland is like, because it's such a small place and there's not a lot of people there, which
There's
means
about
that
360,000 people roughly.
yeah, which is like basically a big city. Like it's a big city's worth of people, because there is only one city and there's just a massive amount of countryside. But like the actual like value that place has is insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They basically got geothermal power limitlessly.
Yeah, pretty much.
Could you imagine if we had that? If we just had a volcano, how rich we would make it? Like
we would exploit the shit out of that
Yeah,
volcano. And
we would be going
volcanoes
mad on
rights
it.
activists like leave the volcanoes alone.
Yeah, we just like
Yeah.
Which makes me think that maybe like Iceland aren't taking the full advantage of their natural sort of resources, but then I guess they're also concerned about keeping the environment safe and everything.
Yeah, they're trying that balance between like using the environment but also keeping it, because it's a beautiful country, because it's obviously a huge tourist destination now, like massive. They get up to 3 times their population coming to the country every year as tourists.
How much could you? They're not part of the EU, are they?
No, they are part of the European Economic Area and the Schengen area.
Yeah.
So kind of, but not actually an EU member.
We couldn't move there without like a visa and a whole system, could we?
Well,
Can you move there?
We're not part of the EU, Scott. So
Well, no, we're not. We're not now. But like, I was just thinking.
I'm not quite sure I'm like moving there, but the Schengen area does mean that you can travel between all the countries without having border checks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's like a whole list of countries, which are all EU countries. Well, mainly EU countries. Not everyone's part of the EU, but they're all European countries, where you can just travel through them from, like, example, Norway to, say, Portugal, no border checks. You can go all the way down.
but we're not part of that.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
But
we
was
have,
never part of the Schengen area either.
Yeah, because we do border checks for everything, don't we?
Yeah.
Do we do border checks for... Oh, yeah, we do. We don't. For Republic of Ireland going to Northern Ireland, there's passport checks there, isn't there?
No, there shouldn't be. It's supposed to be a soft border.
Oh, is there? Okay.
We have a good one.
What were we talking about last about Iceland? We were talking about geothermic power.
That seems to be what we're always talking about in this episode. Did you know they got hot springs and that? They use the energy of the heat to like...
All right.
That
Let's
country.
switch. So one thing they can't use is solar power.
Wow, Scott, can they or can't they? Is Iceland a sunny country or not? Let's find out.
Let's find out.
Right.
Is it a sunny country?
In the summer it is, yeah. In fact, it doesn't actually get dark in the sun.
Okay.
It is the land of the midnight sun.
That sounds like...
A Led Zeppelin lyric.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is, like... What it is. It's, because it's so, like, high north, it's not quite in the Arctic Circle. It's at a few degrees south of it. But it is, like, high enough to experience that, like... all like 24-hour daylight basically, where the sun never really goes down.
The sun never sets.
Yeah, well, like, it will set at times for about 3 hours, but even then it doesn't set like enough to be
Gone.
gone. So it's still like, it'll be like the sun's set, but you know when the sun's just set, but you can still see outside and that. So right, gets
Twilight.
like that. Yeah, basically, and you do just get kind of like this weird like sunset that goes straight into sunrise.
Oh, that's cool.
So you get like 3 hours of like that, but also near the solstice on the 21st of June it is like it is a 24-hour sun, but the sun doesn't actually set, and it is like a midnight sun. On the other side, in the winter, it's basically dark all the time, and you have about 5 hours of daylight, and the rest is just dark. But then you do get to see the Northern Lights.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
That's quite cool. You can't see them. You can see them in some areas of Scotland, can't you?
Yeah, you can if the weather's clear enough. But speaking of the winter and the summer there, like the different seasons, you got like... So you'd think it'd be incredibly cold in Iceland and just icy all the time, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But in the summer, has been known to get as hot as 25 degrees.
Okay,
So
that's not...
it usually commonly will sit at about 12 degrees in the summer.
Okay.
And a lot of the ice will thaw and melt, and you will just have like grass everywhere, and it'll be quite a green country actually, because that's the whole thing about Iceland and Greenland have opposite names.
Yeah.
Greenland's full of ice, and Iceland's actually quite green.
Yeah. So, but it's like, because 25 degrees, that's not necessarily hot, but it's fairly warm.
Yeah, that's like sort of how warm it gets here, isn't it?
In the summer, yeah.
The hottest temperature they've ever recorded is 30 degrees. That was like a very hot
Oh,
year.
hell. Oh, so to be fair, if you
It's called Iceland. Like,
if you spend all of your day in the ice and in the cold,
yeah.
30 degrees, I think you would die.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? That'd be like 50 degrees here.
But yeah, it's usually about 12 degrees in the summer. And then in the winter, it sits at about -1. Which again, is not as cold as you'd think though, is it? Because it doesn't get as cold as a Russian winter or a Canadian one.
Yeah, but like still, going out in minus temperatures is always crap. It's just crap.
I quite like it sometimes.
I hate it.
That crisp, like cold air.
I like specifically 15 degrees. If it's hotter than that, nah.
I get that in
Colder
the
than
summer
that.
over there.
Nah. 15 degrees.
Yeah, it's 12's like around that, isn't it? So
Yeah, that'd be acceptable.
yeah. Although the weather changes like quite quickly though.
Oh, can it?
Yeah, like all the time. It's like...
Oh yeah, it's going to be
Between, like-
stormy, isn't it? Because it's that's one of the reasons why it wasn't habited for so long, because there was like the cost of going out there, or the risk wasn't worth it for the potential gains of going there.
Yeah, the Northern Atlantic has known for being quite stormy. So like it'll be changed between rain, sleet, snow, and sun, like all the time. So even like in like one day, you can go out and be like, look outside. Oh, it's sunny out. You go outside and it'll just start like raining. Kind of guess like here.
Yeah, I was going to say that's
But they have
ringing true.
they have a higher chance for it to be snow in there as well. Plus, it's
Yeah.
got quite a bad wind chill, so even though it is like 12 degrees outside, the wind chill does kind of make it colder.
This is not acceptable.
But,
You need it to be like 20 degrees if there's a wind chill.
yeah.
We've got to talk about the flag.
So the flag is it's a blue background, so it's set on a field of blue. It's a Nordic cross with a red thinner cross inside a white outer cross. The red is representing the volcanoes and the lava of the island. The white represents the ice and the snow. And then the blue
represents the sky.
the sea.
The sea?
The sea.
What? I reckon it's the sky. I swear it's...
the Atlantic Ocean.
God damn it.
Yeah, so...
Oh, of course, because it's the fire and the ice in the middle of the sea. Cause,
Yeah, it's the land of ice and fire.
Yeah. Don't all of the Nordic countries have that little cross?
Yeah, they all have the Nordic cross, yeah. So it's like a cross that's sort of off to
Off
the
to
left.
the left, yeah. Isn't it 1/3 to 2/3 ratio? Like 1 to 2?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, it's on that third line. Yeah, it's weird. I still think it's weird how sort of, what's the word for it? How strict flag rules are. Like how they're like, it has to be 1/9 of the flag is this colour. 1/9 of the flag has to be the other colour. This seems ridiculous to me.
Well,
I get the reason why.
it's because it's got to be uniform. It's got to
Yeah,
be like
it's got to be the same
mass
everywhere.
produced. It's got to be able to be displayed all over the world and it needs to be uniform.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Let's talk about National Beer Day. What is the point of National Beer Day?
The point of National Beer Day. National Beer Day is celebrated on the 1st of March every year, and it celebrates the legalization of beer in the country,
Okay.
which dates back to 1989 is when they finally legalized beer.
Why was it? Oh, I guess because it was Christian. Was that why it was illegal?
Nah, it was in the early 20th century where a lot of countries were in the whole prohibition movement.
Oh, right.
And they did a vote to like ban alcohol in the country in 1915. So,
That was a sad day.
but this is the funny part about it. Alcohol was banned, and then Spain was like, "So you're gonna stop buying red wine from us, are you?" And then they were like, "If you stop buying red wine, we'll stop buying fish from you." And obviously, Iceland's main export is kind of fish, isn't it? So they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, okay then." So red wine's not banned, and we'll import red
What?
wine from Spain. And it got to the point where like doctors would like prescribe people a glass of red wine for like bad nerves. And there was even prescribing people cognac for like heart problems and that, but beer did remain illegal.
This is insane.
And
So
this is why it's specifically National Beer Day, because that remained illegal up until 1989, where they had another vote on it, and they legalized beer. And finally, people could drink beer again. So now, every year on the 1st of March, everyone goes out and drinks beer and celebrates National Beer Day.
that's mad. So that's a shame though, because I always thought like Iceland was like quite a sort of like strong in itself type nation, but they just we need our fish trade from Spain. So this is the same thing as opium with Hong Kong. Trade is the root of all evil.
Yeah, global trade has kind of fucked people over, yeah. But it's kind of like also how you make a country powerful.
Yeah.
We need global trade to be relevant on the global stage and to be able to like make money basically. Because you could be self-sustaining, but if you want to make money, you got to sell people stuff.
Yeah, you can't sort of grow you can't earn more money in your country without selling it to other people.
Yeah.
The same as I can't make more money unless I've either got a job or if I'm selling something to you for more money.
Yeah. And
But-
that just happens that they sold fish to Spain.
We should talk.
Spain sold wine to them, and that was like, oh well, if you're not gonna buy wine, then I'm not gonna buy fish from you. And they're like, oh, we'll make an exception for wine.
That's ridiculous.
And in the end, it just went. And
What if you don't like wine? You don't drink.
yeah,
It's only wine drink. It's only the pompous arseholes that like wine.
I don't know wine.
I like wine too. We're pompous arseholes. They're the only ones that get to drink.
I think I just like booze on it. Like,
Yeah.
doesn't really matter what it is. Like, you're over there drinking a Morgan's, and I got a Budweiser. So
I'm drinking a Morgan's and a Budweiser. Budweiser.
dual wielding,
But
which we can do here because beer is legalized,
yes,
and we can do in Iceland as of 1989.
isn't that the name of Taylor Swift's album? 1989. Do you reckon that's where it came from?
So that's what it's about, isn't it?
She's like, beer man. Yeah, the only two people in Iceland that could drink during that time were the pompous arseholes and the just heavy drinkers that didn't care.
Yeah, they were sort of mixed their own sort of whiskey kind of thing.
Oh, there you go then. So it was.
I don't think they were supposed to be making it, but they.
Wow.
Well, you're doing it. It's
Who can blame them?
It's like in America when they had prohibition, and then like everyone started making moonshine.
Yeah.
And the alcohol consumption rate in the country actually went up during prohibition. So it doesn't work. It just creates a black market.
Yeah. It's almost like drugs. Okay, so we still don't have a sponsor. However, what we do have now is a Patreon that I've just set up. Essentially, me and Rob are just doing this because we like geography and it's a bit of a laugh. But if anyone does want to give us any money, there's now a place for you to do so. I'll put a link in the show notes in the shameless self-promotion section. It'll probably be at the top this time, but yeah, it's there if you want it. If you do check it out, then thank you for even considering that, I guess. Bye.
A little thing we can talk about Iceland is the fact that they don't actually have an army.
That
They're
kind
one of the
of
few countries that doesn't actually possess their own standing military.
But they're a member of NATO, aren't they? So they get support from the other countries.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, from NATO allied countries. So they have their own agreements with pretty much every member of NATO as well, basically saying like, if we need help, you'll help us.
Yeah.
They don't have any standing military, due to the fact that like it's like very expensive to have standing military like that, and its population size is kind of like not really big enough.
But it makes sense that Iceland wouldn't have a army as such because they tried to stay neutral and everything.
Yeah, so even though they did stay, even though like I say they didn't have an army necessarily, they did fight in World War One.
Did they?
Yeah, but at that point they was kind of part of the Denmark Union, so they was kind of under the control of Denmark. So they kind of fought for Denmark during that, or at least sent soldiers to fight with the Danish army.
Yeah, so
and
that's
in World War Two they remained officially neutral. And obviously Denmark quickly got overtaken by Nazi Germany, didn't they?
Yeah.
Which is when they tried to remain neutral. And then this is when the British did invade them in 1940.
It's the same thing again. It's the same thing.
It's not the same. This time it wasn't the same reasons, though.
Not the same reasons, but it's the same thing of we're going to be the arseholes in every situation.
Well, kind of.
When
The
was
reason
Britain,
we invaded
When was
them-
Britain ever oppressed? When were we the guys that got... Oh, I guess the Vikings actually invaded us, didn't they?
Well, we had, like, the Romans.
Yeah, the Romans, the Vikings.
Well, I
So,
guess...
yeah,
I mean,
Iceland, we were just getting our own back. Yeah,
the Saxons.
yeah.
The Jutes.
The Jews.
Jutes.
Oh,
Northern Germanic people from Denmark, basically, around that era.
but yeah, Iceland stays neutral, like you say. I didn't think they'd fought in World War One.
Well, they fought under Denmark.
Yeah,
They
because if I'm
gave
right,
soldiers to Denmark,
the
basically.
country stayed neutral, but they supplied... Because I'm pretty sure in World War Two there was like 300 people that were fighting under other people's banners, under other people's flags.
Most
Well, there might have
likely.
been World War One where they sent about 300 people.
Yeah,
in
that was World War One to fight with
Denmark.
But yeah, so Britain did invade them mainly to keep it like it's a very important tactical position Iceland was during the Battle of the Atlantic, and it was to stop it falling into German hands. And in that situation, it is kind of like the lesser of two evils.
Yeah, I mean,
They wasn't necessarily happy with it, but you know, it's that or
Nazis.
Yeah. And it did help us win the war having that. But obviously they wasn't happy with it, and they did actually. They demanded compensation from the British, which the British agreed to, and favourable trade deals with them.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't. What was the reparations? Do you have any idea?
No, they just demand like compensation, like a payment, like
right.
like a financial compensation. Favourable trade deals and non-interference in Icelandic affairs, which we all know that lasted for some time with the British, didn't it?
Yeah, for us, to be fair.
There was
lasted
non-interference.
More than 10 years.
And then it goes to the 60s where we have the Cod Wars.
When I saw this, because I looked at... I wanted to check to see if Iceland... Because you said in the last one about how Iceland we don't have any sort of like beef with Iceland.
We don't right now, no.
Not right now, no. But I looked it up and I was like, let me just see. I want to see who they have had beef with. And the only country that came up every time was the United Kingdom. I was like, no. But yeah, when I was reading that, there was a list of all of them. And I misread the Cod Wars as being the Cold War. So I thought they had like something, because they are quite close to Russia as well. I thought they were sort of, are they not?
Yeah.
They're at the top there.
You go over the Arctic, yeah. I was just thinking like, because this is Rob's map, Scott, so I'm like, looking left to
they're
right.
on the sides, aren't they?
No, it is in fact a globe. So it goes over the top. This is the Rob's Globe segment of the podcast where you realise you can go over the Arctic to certain countries.
But yeah, so they quite in a good strategic position for Russia. I mean, they're sort of similar to America and Cuba, where they're sort of like not just off the coast. Cuba's a lot closer to America, but they would expand the reach of missiles in that region.
I mean, the US does always keep like a sort of military bases on the island.
Until 2006, wasn't it? They don't have a military there now.
Do they not?
I don't think so.
Oh, that's one of the very few places they don't.
Yeah.
I can't wait till the America episode.
Yeah. But anyways, what are we talking about? Oh yeah, the Cod Wars. See, I thought it was the Cod Wars.
I just have the image of like Star Wars, but it's just a cod on like jumping across the top.
God damn it. But yeah, it's the thing of... So, to explain what the Cod Wars actually were, it was, as I understand it, there was a sort of treaty where everyone agreed, I think it was like 2 nautical miles off of your coast is exclusively your fishing zone. So, outside of that is open waters, and you can go and fish whatever you want, you can do whatever you want in those areas. But Britain kept on going into Iceland's 2-mile distance to fish and to do trawling.
Well, not quite. Britain had claimed a vast majority, hundreds of nautical miles of fishing rights, and when Iceland wanted to expand their 4 nautical mile fishing rights to 12 is when England was like, well, now you're encroaching into our super huge massive fishing area,
right?
Which then caused the first Cod War.
But that one, there was no casualties in that one, was there? There was only one in the second. How was there 3? How was there 3 Cod Wars?
Because they were never really resolved properly, and they all happened literally sequentially, 1 year, 2 years later, 1 year. The issue was never resolved. So It is one war. I would say it's one war with 3
battles,
but the battles lasted a long time, so that's why it's separated into 3 wars. But yes, I think it was the second one where someone died, wasn't it? Where
there was one because they were doing the main tactic for them, because they couldn't really... Iceland didn't have a very big sort of navy. They couldn't really compete with us.
They don't have a navy. They have the Coast Guard armed with some, a
militarised Coast Guard.
Yeah.
But they couldn't outfire the British, so they took to a tactic of ramming into the fishing trawlers.
They have the Coast Guard armed with, smaller naval artillery, basically.
Yeah. But they were using the tactic of ramming into the trawlers
Yes.
and then trying to get away.
And cutting the lines on the nets.
Yeah, cutting the fishing lines of the trawlers.
I know one of them got flooded and someone got electrocuted.
Yeah, that's the one. Then the third one was... Because actually, to be fair, when I was looking at this, Iceland did come off as kind of the bad guy. Because they kept expanding
They
their...
kept expanding. They did.
Without, like... There was a convention where it was agreed, this is how much space you get. And then they were like, actually, no, we just want more. We just want more space.
Because they also had Britain held in like a situation where they couldn't do anything either due to like...
The Cold War.
Well, yeah, because like they were basically threatening to drop out of NATO and remove America's bases on the island if Britain fully attacked them. So it was kind of, but like you say, after every agreement, that's why there's three. See, this is why there's three Cold Wars, because after every agreement, they want to expand further, and then Britain don't like it, and then they have another like sort of stalemate of like boats driving around and that.
Serious.
Sailing, driving around, sailing.
But it's one of those things as well where it's like, at least they weren't sort of planes coming over the coast and bombing everyone. Like, at least it wasn't like boots on the ground.
Well, they asked America to do that to the British. They asked America to bomb the British ships.
And America was like, no.
Yeah, this is the thing, because they afterwards they really were confident leaving NATO, because they did say that they feel like NATO didn't really help them much in the war, but like Britain's one of the biggest players in NATO, so like it's a really awkward situation for everyone involved.
They should have called Britain and been like, hey, can you help us with this country? They keep on ramming our ships.
Yeah.
Hit us with a quick fact.
So it has one of the lowest crime rates in the world.
Oh, really?
Yes. It has basically virtually 0% murder rate.
But it was founded by a murderer.
The irony of that. The irony of that, yeah. It was, it's such like a small sort of, because it's such a small country and kind of like a tight-knit, secure community, everyone sort of knows somebody that knows somebody. You know what I mean?
Oh, like, yeah. So it's just sort of like a close-knit place.
Yeah, the murder rate's virtually 0, which also makes it the most peaceful country in the world.
Oh, that's really cool.
It has been voted the most, voted or what? I don't know how the system works.
Figured out, yeah.
Figured out that it is the most peaceful country in the world.
Nice. Better. Let's move there.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was telling you, Scott, like, it's a cool place and I think you'd want to go there.
This
No pun intended there, but...
What? What did you say?
I said it's a cool place.
God damn it. But, yeah. I reckon Iceland would be fun.
Iceland is a very expensive country to live in.
It can't be more expensive than Hong Kong.
Probably not.
Hong Kong was billionaires.
Yeah, but the average person's not a billionaire in Hong Kong. So on average, Iceland's supposed to be about 34% more expensive to live in than the UK.
But surely the paychecks must be then...
Yeah, they do get paid better, but it is more expensive to live there. So we can go through a couple things if you want. Like,
where's the cheapest place to live? Where would I be a billionaire? Yeah.
South Sudan.
But that's scary because I feel like I'd get murdered there.
Yeah, that's the risk of going to a cheap place.
Oh, I see. So it's like I guess because like social programs, because it's more expensive to live because it funds social programs. So
yeah,
that keeps everyone safe, which is why this place is probably more expensive than America. But here you can at least peacefully protest. Let's plan our move to Iceland.
Yeah.
Right? How much is it going to cost me to smoke?
The average pack of cigarettes, Marlboros, would cost you £8.10, which would actually be cheaper than here.
So it's looking good already. How about wine? Wine was the staple food for like a couple of years. How much is that?
So for a mid-range bottle of wine, you're looking at about 14 quid. which is
That's not too bad, to be fair.
more than here. But
It's more than here, but like, is that pub wine or supermarket wine?
it just says mid-range wine, mate.
All right. Oh, to be fair, mid-range. So the cheap wine is still going to be about like a fiver.
Possibly.
If you can get wine for £3 here.
This is the one though, Scott. It's about $6.70 for a pint of beer.
Oh, oh, hang on. All right, let's think about this a bit more. We'd have to like take out a loan for a drinking session.
Basically, like you say, it is the social programs, but it's also because a lot of it's all imported. A lot of it's made like in house. So
Right.
There's obviously importation taxes and stuff.
So what we need to do is start open like the first big brewery in Iceland. Make a killing off of making everyone alcoholics.